It's time for our book study, Rise of the False Gods. And tonight we're doing Voter Special Continued. And this is the way I see it. I think I will be finishing, tomorrow I'm going to finish up the voter section. So then Monday is the day before election. So I'll be back to what we were doing. So, let's just see what happens. Again, do feel free to look up all the videos on YouTube under Rise of the False Gods, Alicia Leslie. I love your comments. I love your questions. I can't always see them, but I will answer them as soon as I can. Oh, so I'm a little late because I actually started the video and I didn't have my camera reversed and I was taking a picture of my television stand. So I am here now. And we are going to move on to a guide to conscious voting. Now, before we do that, I want to share about yesterday. Yesterday, you may or may not have noticed, but I kind of ran through and cut off the last part of the class. I was like really quick and said, see you tomorrow. And if you notice, that was probably rushed. The reason it was rushed is because I had found out that my daughter is in the hospital. She has ulcerative colitis and was actually in the midst of a very, very bad infection. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is I'm very happy she's in the hospital where she's getting good treatment, and Lord willing, please keep her in your prayers, Mimi, and me and the family, and that she will be back to her normal life even better soon. But the reason I am sharing this is because of two things. First of all, the symptoms that she had went on too long before she addressed them. I mean, this was a very long-term problem she had that she kept avoiding. One of the reasons was the question of not having health care. Right now, as we talk about voting and elections, health care should be a primary thing on our minds. Oddly, it's not being discussed much by the incumbent, and not in a positive way anyway. Only a lot of platitudes, but no solid information, no plan. So that was number one. Now, the second reason that it got as bad as it did is that she had called the doctor and didn't get a call back and didn't get a call back. And then she called the doctor again and didn't get a call back and didn't get a call back. And then she actually wound up going to the doctor's office and plunking herself down there until somebody could see her. In between that, for probably the previous month, she was supposed to be getting a prescription for the condition, and the person that wrote the prescription wrote it as if it was to take orally, but it was a suppository. Think about that. So of course she couldn't pick up any prescription or get any help. So basically it was a real fiasco, and she had to really, and the thing is, she was getting weaker and weaker because of the condition, and yet she was trying but wasn't getting a lot of feedback, and so she wasn't as easily able to stand up for herself. Well, when the pain got bad enough, she really pressed, and when she really pressed, well, she wound up in the hospital, but she's getting the care she needs. Our government is a mess. And a lot of us are kind of like hoping it'll change and hoping it'll change and hoping it'll change. And it's getting worse. So this is not unlike my daughter's condition. There's a part of us that doesn't want to move because we're afraid, because we don't feel we're equipped or have the right medicine as it would be to cure the situation. Sometimes we're not getting the results or answers that we want. And sometimes we just let something go too long. It's time now, folks. It's time this isn't going to be over next week when voting the process is over. The outcome won't probably know, but the process will be over. There have been more people voting, they said, this year in many places that even voted in the entire 2016 election. Not early voters, voters completely. So that's a good sign that people are interested. But when the outcome comes, however it comes out, are people going to then just abandon any involvement in their part that they play in the government, or are they going to remain active and informed and to know what's going on and to speak their voice, let their voice be heard, participate in local politics, get to know your politicians, because when you get to know them, whether it's Democrat or Republican, you usually find out they, or Libertarian or Green Party or whatever, you will find out that they are good people like you, who have different thoughts. But when you get to know people, it's easier to have hard conversations. So that's what this is all about. And let's look at it this way. In a week, this part will be over. We'll be moving on, new direction, wherever that goes, however that goes. We don't know what that's going to be yet. So for right now, let's stay positive and do our part, which is being a conscious voter. Okay. So, let me get back to where we were. Excuse me. Yesterday, I concluded with the Declaration of Interdependence. Today, I am moving on to a guide to conscious voting. Why vote? Understand, this was written a few years ago. In a presidential election, campaigns heat up. I was writing this before the last presidential election. No, it was actually after it. Sorry about that. But I was sure hot from what the outcome was. Okay, so in a presidential election, campaigns heat up. This is exponentially heated up. I mean, we're like gone round the bend. Claims and accusations are made. By the way, this is the top of page 241. Emotions often rage. You may feel like going into hiding until it's all over. Frankly, boy, if I could go somewhere, I've already voted. I would be gone. I wouldn't be sitting here and listening to anything that's going on. I did my job, I did my due diligence, I did my research, I made my decisions. But now I'm here, hopefully helping you to make a decision you're going to be happy with, whatever that is. But as a responsible citizen of the United States of America, you cannot go into hiding till it's all over. Why? Because it is not only our right, but our responsibility to vote. It's our opportunity to participate in the operation of our government. Don't just pray it comes out okay. Pray and move your feet, which means vote, and become an enlightened, informed voter. Know what you're talking about. There's a lot of people that are under, and this is in the book, but I'm also speaking it because it's gotten worse since these words were written. Some people under the influence of apathy say their vote does not matter. It does. Ultimately, if by nothing else but right of consciousness, it matters. While the Electoral College decisions are based on the popular vote of their states that declare the president, so the Electoral College may cast the actual votes that declare the president, their decision is based on the popular vote of their state. Now, in theory, an elector can go against this commitment, but this is very rare. When this was written, 2017 probably, when this was written, that was very rare. But that is one of the things that people are very concerned about today. Will their electoral college follow the rule and vote for the person that got the popular vote in their state? Because nobody's tying them down and making them do it. We depend on their consciousness and their conscientiousness. Yeah, I know we're all kind of nervous about that, but we have to hunker down, speak up. Additionally, you will be voting to fill other important positions. We can't get so wound up in this presidential election that we forget we are voting for other local positions. Do you know those people? Do you know who you're voting for, what they stand for, how they feel? I have had conversations with the people on both sides. I know two of the representatives strong enough that I can go right up to them and have a conversation. Matter of fact, had a very interesting conversation, a very positive conversation the other day with a member of the party that I don't belong to. The people you vote for make positive or negative changes in your life and our country. They are the decision makers we have chosen. Local politics are every bit as important as national. We must get to know our representatives. Why? They represent us. A while ago, oh gosh, it's been years now, someone very near and dear to me was very upset about a decision that was being made in the town about a school that was being built. The school was not being built in a good place. It was in a very, not a good place, but they were determined to build it there. So my sister, whoops, guess that, you know who I'm talking about now. They went out and they talked to people and they did their best and they spoke their truth. And what happened was the school got built. There were so many other better choices, but the school got built. Now that really turned her off to politics, to being a participant in local politics for a long time. Now, actually since they've even had the campground, they've become much more involved in local politics. They always voted, but now they are involved with the people. They go to meetings, they go to organizations, they take part. And I encourage you to do that from the bottom of my heart. If we're all one, the more we know each other, the more we can get to like each other and work together, even if that means coming to consensus, if not agreement. Okay, now this is from Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 and 10. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all men, and especially to those who are of the household of faith. Now this sounds very religious, but it doesn't have to be religious. It can be just very spiritual. It can even be common sense. We need to know each other, love each other, and stand up for each other. Now, Barbara Marx Hubbard, I know you probably haven't heard of her, but she's fabulous. She was all about raising consciousness. She was called a futurist. She's now into her future on the other side. And purely by her spirit, she left behind amazing works, one of which is called The Revelation, Our Crisis is a Birth. Powerful. She says, conscious evolution inspires us in a mysterious and humble awareness that we have been created by this awesome process of evolution and are now being transformed by it. Now, if you get a knee-jerk reaction at the word evolution, because your church teaches creationism, not evolution, I would like to recommend a great book that is about spirituality and science, and it's called Thank God for Evolution. Powerful book. Please check it out if you have any of those issues. I got a lot to do, but I really want to touch on all this, so I'm sorry, like for the third night I may go over, but I want to get all this behind us, right? Right? Okay. I want to talk about the national popular vote. I invite you to look that up on the internet. We are not yet where we need to be to have it work to be a requirement in our voting process, but if you don't know about it, you really should, because it basically says that any state that would have you don't have to get rid of the electoral college, which would mean going through a constitution amendment. You don't have to do that. The national popular vote states that the person that is casting the vote agrees to cast that vote for the utmost, highest popular vote of the people when it's all over. I'm probably not explaining that the best. Go to look up national popular vote. Google it. And you'll see there are people out there working to do it another way. But if we're not informed about it, if we stay ignorant about it, it's not going to help us at all. Okay. Got to stay on time. This is an amazing quote from Mary Crowley. And I don't know who she is, but she's a very smart lady. We are free up to the point of choice. Then the choice controls the chooser. We have to take a choice. Then we have the consequences of the choice we made. Our first choice is whether or not to vote. If you don't vote, you put your future in the hands of those who do vote. Would you let a blind person take you out for a drive? Would you let a circus clown perform brain surgery on you? You think you know where I might be going here? Do we really believe, as Abraham Lincoln said, that we are a nation of, by, and for the people? I say if we believe it, we must do our part. We cannot abdicate our responsibility to vote. Now, we all like to say, I live in America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. You know what? The free part, that's easy. The brave part, that's the responsibility. Sometimes we have to be brave to be responsible, because we don't want to be. We want everything to go our way. We want it easy. We don't want to have to work for it. But we do, and we have to sometimes remember that responsibility is equal to freedom. Maybe we ought to rewrite that. Okay. Why is it up to 2/3 of eligible voters do not vote? Why? Hopefully that's going to be very different this election, because so far the evidence seems to point that way. We don't know who they're voting for, but they're sure as heck voting. For one thing, voting, to vote the right way, to be a conscious voter, it's not easy. It takes work. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to know who you're voting for. You got to know, do a little Googling, know, how did they vote on certain things that are important to you? What's important to you? Is health insurance important to you? Is immigration important to you? Is financial responsibility important to you? Is our relationship with other countries important to you? Is our integrity important to you? That's what you want to, that's why you vote. That's why it is a requirement if you want to be a true citizen. Now, I understand that someone was saying only half of the eligible, absentee ballots they sent out in many areas, only half have come back. I think some people might have, mailed them in. They're not there yet. And I think some people are not liking all the hijinks that are going on with the post office and everything. And they want to bring that ballot in. And I certainly don't blame them. I brought mine right to the town clerk's voting box outside of the town office. I made sure it got there, and I checked, and you can check yours too. I checked, and it's in, and I'm counted, and I'm good. Okay. If you go unconsciously, ignorantly, or passionately misinformed to cast your vote, it's not going to have a good outcome. It'll be easy, but you might not like what happens. That would be putting personality before principle. Laziness causes many people not to vote, or, unfortunately, apathy. Apathy is one of the things we have to fight more than ever here now, because we've been under such a depressed state for so long by not only the workings of the government, but also the COVID thing and, life. So you need to stay strong, folks. You need to stay happy. Stay happy. Don't let anybody take that from you. You are a part of a greater whole. You are an organ or a cell in the body or collective consciousness that we call America. Your vote helps determine what that looks like. Yes, your vote helps to determine what America looks like. Even if you're not successful in the presidential vote, you may be successful in the down ballot votes. Vote for the people of integrity, the people whose are like mind, positive. The laws and programs that will impact our lives are made and changed by the people we empower to do so. Even if it does not turn out the way you wish it had, you did your part, and now you can do your part to hold the feet of those who won the vote to the fire of accountability. And you can do that. And it's a little bit early, but it's time for tonight. So for now, I invite you to think about the things I said. If you haven't yet checked your candidates, local and presidential, take a look at them. Make right choices. You have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. And just know when that tomorrow comes, we'll be off the voter thing, and we'll be back on our path. Take care.